I never thought I would be the person sitting across from someone I loved, deeply hearing those dreaded words. 2 years with Savannah had felt like building a future until that sunny Tuesday at our favorite coffee shop when everything changed. The look in her eyes told me what was coming before she even spoke. When she finally said, "I think we should just be friends," I surprised both of us by simply responding, "Perfect." The confusion that flashed across her face was just the beginning of what would become the most unexpected chapter of our story. Before I continue, drop a comment letting me know if you have ever been friend-zoned after a serious relationship, and hit subscribe if you want more stories about relationships that take unexpected turns. I met Savannah at my college roommate's birthday party 3 years ago. I was getting another drink when someone bumped into me, nearly spilling my beer. "Oh my God, I am so sorry," she said, steadying my arm with her hand. I turned around and saw the most stunning woman with wavy brown hair and green eyes that seemed to catch all the light in the room. "No harm done," I replied, extending my hand. "I am Ethan." "Savannah," she smiled, shaking my hand a second too long. "Are you a friend of Taylor?" We spent the rest of the night talking in a corner, discovering we both loved the same obscure indie band and had hiked the same remote trail in Washington state. By the end of the night, I had her number and a first date planned for that weekend. Our first date was at a small art gallery featuring local photographers. She worked in marketing but had a passion for photography. I watched her face light up as she analyzed each composition, occasionally grabbing my arm to point out something particularly impressive. "This one makes me feel like I am right there in that moment," she said, pointing to a black and white landscape. "That is what great art should do, you know. Transport you." I was already being transported, but not by the photographs. Our relationship progressed quickly after that. Weekend trips to the coast, cooking dinner together while dancing around my small kitchen, staying up until 3 in the morning, talking about everything from childhood memories to our biggest fears. "I have never felt this comfortable with anyone," she told me one night as we lay under the stars on my apartment rooftop. "It scares me sometimes." "Why would it scare you?" I asked, turning to face her. "Because when something feels this good, I am always waiting for it to end." I should have recognized that as the first red flag, but instead I pulled her closer and promised her it would not end. I was terribly wrong. After 1 year together, we decided to move in. My lease was ending and her roommate was moving out with her boyfriend. "It just makes sense," she reasoned. "We spend every night together anyway." Moving day was both exhausting and exhilarating. Our friends helped haul furniture up 3 flights of stairs, and we ordered pizza for everyone as payment. That night, after everyone left, we sat on our couch in our apartment, and I felt complete. "To us," I said, clinking my wine glass against hers. "To us," she echoed, but her smile did not quite reach her eyes. The first 6 months of living together were everything I hoped for. Coming home to her, building a life together, making plans for the future. But slowly, things began to change. It started with small things I barely noticed at first. She stopped greeting me with a kiss when I came home from work. Our conversations over dinner became shorter, more about logistics than connection. Date nights became less frequent, often canceled last minute because she was too tired or had a work emergency. I noticed she was spending more time with her friends, especially her best friend Jess. Whenever I asked about their plans, her answers were vague. "Just girl time," she would say with a shrug. I tried everything to fix whatever was breaking between us. I planned surprise weekend getaways, cooked her favorite meals, and initiated conversations about our relationship. "Is everything okay with us?" I asked one night after she had been particularly distant. "Of course," she said, not looking up from her phone. "Why would you ask that? You just seem somewhere else lately." "I am just stressed about work," she replied, finally meeting my eyes. Nothing to worry about, but there was plenty to worry about. The night before everything fell apart, I overheard her on the phone in our bedroom. I had come home early from a work event and paused outside the door when I heard my name. "I just do not know how to tell him," she was saying. "No, it is not that simple. I know I need to do it soon." My heart sank. I quietly walked back out and drove around for an hour before returning, pretending I had just arrived. That night, she suggested we get coffee at our favorite spot the next day. The coffee shop where she ended things was ironically where we had our third date. I remembered how she had laughed so hard that day that coffee came out of her nose. Now she sat across from me, fidgeting with her cup sleeve, barely making eye contact. "Ethan," she started, her voice steady but quiet. "I have been doing a lot of thinking about us, about where we are headed." I knew what was coming, but I let her continue. "You are amazing, and these 2 years have been incredible, but I think we should just be friends." Inside, I felt like I was free falling. 2 years, countless memories, a shared apartment, plans for the future, all reduced to just friends. But externally, I remained calm. I thought about the phone call, her growing distance, and all the signs I had been trying to ignore. In that moment, something shifted in me. "Perfect," I said, my voice even. Her eyes widened slightly. "Perfect, yes. If that is what you want, then we can be friends." "You are not upset?" she asked, looking genuinely confused. "I am sad, of course, but I respect your decision." The drive home was silent and tense. She kept glancing at me as if waiting for an outburst that never came. When we got home, I simply said I would start looking for a new place and asked about how she wanted to handle our shared belongings. Her responses were hesitant, as if she had not actually thought that far ahead. Finding a new apartment was easier than I expected. My friend had a spare room I could rent temporarily while I figured things out. Moving out was another story. Every object we had to divide felt like dissecting our relationship piece by piece. "Do you want the coffee maker?" she asked as I packed my clothes. "You can keep it," I replied. "You use it more." "What about the prints we bought in Portland? You choose first." She seemed increasingly agitated by my calm demeanor. When I finished packing my essentials and prepared to leave, she stood awkwardly by the door. "So, we will talk soon?" she asked. "Sure," I nodded. "Take care, Savannah." Once I was settled in my temporary home, I took some time to reflect on what being just friends actually meant. Savannah and I had been friends before we started dating, but our friendship had been completely absorbed by our romantic relationship. Now I needed to redefine those boundaries. I made a mental inventory of how I treated my actual friends. I did not text them good morning or good night. I did not drop everything to help them with minor inconveniences. I did not pay for their meals or streaming services. I did not provide emotional support at all hours. I certainly did not prioritize their needs above my own. So I began implementing these same boundaries with Savannah. When she texted me at midnight asking if I was awake, I responded the next morning with a casual, "Hey, saw this late. What is up?" When she asked if I could still help her set up her new work laptop because you know how bad I am with technology, I politely suggested she contact IT support. I canceled our shared Netflix account and created my own. I stopped picking up her favorite snacks when I saw them at the store. I declined invitations to help her with household tasks that any friend would reasonably hire someone to do. Her confusion was evident in her increasingly frequent messages. "Are you mad at me?" she texted 3 weeks after our breakup. "Not at all," I replied. "Why do you ask? You just seem different. I am respecting the boundaries of our friendship as you requested." Our friend group situations were the most challenging. The first time we were both invited to a dinner party, I could feel her watching me across the room. I was polite, but not overly attentive. When she mentioned needing a ride home, I suggested splitting an Uber with another friend who lived in her direction, explaining I was heading the opposite way. As the weeks passed, her attempts to maintain certain aspects of our relationship became more obvious. She would call with emergencies that were merely inconveniences. She would reference inside jokes and memories, trying to recreate our former intimacy. Each time I responded with friendly but firm boundaries. The furniture incident was particularly telling. She called one Saturday morning asking if I could help move her new couch up to her apartment since, you know how those delivery guys just leave everything downstairs. "Sorry, I have plans today," I said truthfully. "But I can send you the contact for the moving service I used when I moved. They are really affordable for small jobs like that." The silence on her end spoke volumes. "But it would just take you an hour," she finally said. "I understand, but I already have commitments." The movers are really great, though. After I hung up, I felt a strange mixture of guilt and liberation. I was not being unkind, I was simply being a friend exactly as she had requested. A few days later, I received a text from Jess, Savannah's best friend. "Hey, would you want to grab coffee sometime just to check in?" I was surprised, but agreed. Jess and I had always gotten along well, though we had never spent time together without Savannah. We met at a coffee shop in a different neighborhood than the one Savannah and I used to frequent. Jess looked comfortable in jeans and a simple sweater, her curly hair pulled back in a loose ponytail. "Thanks for meeting me," she said after we got our drinks. "I just wanted to see how you are doing with everything." "I am doing okay," I said honestly, taking it day by day. "Savannah mentioned you have been different." I laughed lightly. "I am just being a friend like she wanted." Jess studied me for a moment. "You know that is not quite what she expected." "What did she expect?" "I think she wanted all the benefits of your relationship without the commitment," Jess said, surprising me with her candor. "She wanted you to still be there for her, prioritize her, but she wanted freedom too." "That is not friendship," I pointed out. "No," Jess agreed. "It is not." Our conversation shifted to other topics. I discovered Jess was passionate about art history and worked as a curator at a small gallery. We talked about books, hiking trails, and our shared love of cooking. By the end of our coffee, I had nearly forgotten the original reason for our meeting. "This was nice," I said as we prepared to leave. "Thanks for checking in on me." "Actually, I enjoyed it too," she smiled. "Maybe we could do it again sometime." Over the next few weeks, Jess and I met several more times. Each conversation revealed more common interests and shared values. She was straightforward and authentic in a way that felt refreshing. I found myself looking forward to our meetings and our text conversations throughout the day. During one of our dinners, Jess revealed something that confirmed my suspicions about the breakup. "There is something you should know," she said, looking uncomfortable. "Savannah was emotionally involved with someone from her work before your breakup. Nothing physical happened, at least that is what she told me, but she was already checking out of our relationship," I finished. I suspected something like that. "I am sorry. I felt you deserved to know. Thank you for telling me. It actually helps make sense of things." After several weeks of getting to know Jess, I realized I had developed genuine feelings for her. The situation was obviously complicated, and I was hesitant to act on those feelings given her friendship with Savannah. But one evening, as we walked through a park after dinner, the connection between us felt undeniable. "I like spending time with you," I said simply. "But I understand if the situation with Savannah makes this complicated." Jess stopped walking and turned to face me. "Savannah and I are friends, yes. But her decisions are hers and mine are mine. I like spending time with you too, Ethan. A lot." Our first kiss that night felt like the beginning of something honest and real. Jess and I decided to date openly after discussing the potential repercussions. "I am not going to hide anything," she said firmly. "That is not how I want to start this." "I agree," I told her. Complete honesty from the beginning. We did not make a public announcement, but we did not hide our relationship either. We went to restaurants, movies, and parks together. I met some of her friends and she met mine. It was inevitable that Savannah would find out, and she did through social media when a mutual friend posted a picture of us at a group dinner. The phone call came within an hour of that post. "Are you serious right now?" Savannah's voice was sharp and loud through the phone. "Hello to you too, Savannah." "You are dating my best friend. How could you do this to me?" "I am not doing anything to you," I replied calmly. "Jess and I connected, and we are seeing where it goes. She is my best friend." "That is completely off limits, Savannah," I said evenly. "You ended our relationship. You wanted to be friends. Friends do not dictate who other friends can date. This is different, and you know it. You are only doing this to hurt me. This has nothing to do with you," I said truthfully. "Jess and I genuinely enjoy each other's company." She hung up without another word. What followed was a campaign of text messages to mutual friends, describing how I had betrayed her and how Jess had stabbed her in the back. Some friends seemed swayed by her version of events, while others reserved judgment. The confrontation came at a dinner party hosted by our friend Taylor. I had checked with Taylor beforehand about whether it would be uncomfortable if Jess and I both attended, and she assured me it was fine. What Taylor did not tell me was that Savannah would also be there. When Jess and I walked in together, the room went quiet. Savannah was sitting at the dining table, her eyes immediately locking onto our hands, which were loosely intertwined. The evening was tense but civil, until after dinner when conversations broke into smaller groups. I was talking with Taylor's boyfriend when Savannah approached, glass of wine in hand. "Enjoying yourself?" she asked, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "It is a nice evening," I replied neutrally. "I bet it is. Nothing like bringing your rebound to a party with your ex." "Jess is not a rebound, Savannah." "Right," she laughed coldly. "You just happened to fall for my best friend immediately after we broke up. How convenient." Her voice had risen, drawing attention from others. Jess approached and stood beside me. "Maybe we should talk about this another time," Jess suggested calmly. "Oh, there she is." Savannah turned her focus to Jess. "Tell me, how long were you waiting to swoop in? Were you two talking behind my back while we were still together?" "That is not what happened, and you know it," Jess said firmly. "You ended things with Ethan. You told me yourself you were interested in someone else." The room went completely silent. Savannah's face flushed deep red. "So that is it. Years of friendship mean nothing to you." "Our friendship means a lot to me," Jess replied. "But that does not give you the right to control my life, or who I care about. And it does not give you the right to spread lies about either of us." "I cannot believe this." Savannah looked around the room, perhaps seeking allies. Finding none, she grabbed her purse. "You two deserve each other. I am done with both of you." She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The awkward silence that followed was finally broken by Taylor suggesting we have dessert. The party gradually resumed, though the energy had shifted considerably. Later that night, I asked Jess if she regretted coming. "Not at all," she said. "It would have happened eventually. And honestly, it needed to happen." I lay awake that night, wondering if I had made a series of mistakes. Was I dating Jess to get back at Savannah? Had I been too harsh with my boundaries? Was I the villain in this story after all? But as I reflected honestly, I knew that my feelings for Jess were genuine, and my boundaries with Savannah were healthy. Sometimes doing the right thing for yourself feels wrong, because you have been conditioned to put others first. That night, I promised myself I would stop second-guessing my right to happiness. Six months passed quickly. Jess and I had settled into a relationship that felt natural and supportive. We had our challenges like any couple, but we faced them with open communication and mutual respect. The shadow of how we began gradually faded as we built our own story together. My apartment now held traces of her, a painting she loved on my wall, her favorite tea in my cupboard. Little by little, we were creating a shared life this time, built on a foundation of genuine friendship first. The friend group had largely moved past the drama, though some relationships were permanently altered. A few friends had taken firm sides with Savannah, but most had eventually come to see that relationships are complex and not always black and white. I was picking up groceries on a Sunday afternoon when I turned a corner and nearly collided with a shopping cart. "Sorry," I started to say, then recognized Savannah behind the cart. She looked different, her hair shorter, her expression more subdued. For a moment, we both just stood there, the surprise of the encounter rendering us momentarily speechless. "Hi," she finally said. "Hi," I echoed. "How have you been?" "Okay. Better, actually." She shifted her weight slightly. "You?" "Good. Really good." An awkward silence fell between us. I noticed she was looking at me differently, without the anger that had characterized our last encounter. "I have been doing a lot of thinking," she said unexpectedly. "About how everything went down." I nodded but did not speak. "I did not really understand what just friends meant," she continued. "Or maybe I did, but I did not want it to mean that with you." "What did you want it to mean?" I asked, genuinely curious. She paused, seeming to search for the right words. "I wanted the security of having you there while I figured out what I really wanted. It was selfish." "It was," I agreed, but without malice. "And when you actually treated me like just a friend, it made me realize how much I had taken for granted. I could have said many things in that moment, but instead I simply said, "I appreciate you telling me that." "Are you and Jess still together?" she asked. "Yes, we are." She nodded, a flicker of something, perhaps regret, crossing her face. "She is lucky." "You both are." As we prepared to continue our separate shopping, she added, "For what it is worth, I am sorry. Not just about how I reacted to you and Jess, but for how I ended things. You deserved better." "Thank you," I said sincerely. "I hope you find what you are looking for, Savannah." Walking away, I felt a sense of closure I had not realized I needed. The encounter reinforced what I had learned through this entire experience: the importance of boundaries, self-respect, and taking people at their word. When I got home and told Jess about running into Savannah, she listened attentively, then asked, "How do you feel about it?" "Peaceful," I said after thinking for a moment. "Like the last piece of a puzzle falling into place." The truth is, sometimes relationships end so that better ones can begin. Sometimes the painful process of enforcing boundaries leads to finding someone who respects them naturally. And sometimes hearing "let us just be friends" is the beginning of discovering what true partnership actually looks like. When someone tells you who they are or what they want, the best thing you can do is believe them. The most important question is not what they want from you, but what you deserve and are willing to accept. Because how you allow others to treat you sets the standard for every relationship in your life. Have you ever had to set boundaries with someone who wanted the benefits of a relationship without the commitment? Leave a comment below sharing your experience, and if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe. For more real-life relationship stories, share this with someone who might need a reminder about the power of self-respect and boundaries. Thank you for listening, and remember that sometimes the most loving thing you can do both for yourself and others is to take them at their word.